There.
Did I?
No, donuts were free.
That's like,
Yeah.
or maybe it was that.
I'd like to call to order the July meeting workshop, Mayor and City Council of the City of Taneytown. Somebody, Bigliotti, to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Who's that guy that wanted it?
Everyone,
Yeah, but
council members are present except for Councilman Foster, who is out of town. First item is to see if there's any additions or corrections to the minutes of June the 5th and June the 10th, or the June 10th closed session. Anybody have any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Yeah, I've got something here if I can find it. The date of the closed meeting, closed session.
I did go ahead and change that.
Oh, did you?
It should be the 10th. And the other part was Diane was not present, so.
Yeah, that was good. So you got that?
I'll give you guys.
Okay. Good.
The other, there is one more change on the, I believe it's the June 10th. The spelling of Dwayne Hobbs, Diane informed me that it was Delane Hobbs, so that will change that.
Elaine, right. Anybody else have any,
Yes, under new business on the 10th, it should be noted that Diane Foster, Council Member Diane Foster, was appointed as a liaison to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, and that I was appointed as liaison to the Police Department.
Yeah, really, that's right.
anything else?
There were comments from the floor.
Yeah, what was pointed out is we also had comments with regard to the sustainable communities. And should the comments be also, or at least noted in the minutes, that there were comments? And
There were comments, I could add that in there regarding
Right.
that, yes.
okay.
Anything else? Probably the correction on the June the 5th meeting where it's mentioned that Mayor McCarron was attending the opening of the city's farmers market. In the last paragraph, second to last bullet point, I was really attending my mother-in-law's memorial service.
That's right, yeah.
So that probably should be corrected. I did attend the city farmers market, but that's not the reason I wasn't in Carol Vista, so just a clarification. All right. Now we'll for approval with additions and corrections on Monday. Moving into the adoption of resolutions, ordinances, and agreement. Now, there's a number of charter resolutions that are presented to us today that have to do with restructuring of the clerk and treasurer position. It's our intention to separate these two duties and have a clerk position and a treasurer position. And these charter resolutions, 2013-1 through 2013-7, all have to do with that. And I just maybe should take them as a group and ask if anybody has any questions on Resolution 1 or any resolution. Just tell me the number that you have a question on.
I've got one question. I think it's on 2 of them. I know, I just don't understand the terminology here, Jay, and you can probably tell me. Resolution CR 2013-04. go down to, there's a little thing there that says tax sales. But then you have a list of all property, blah, 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 shall be turned over by the clerk in brackets and then treasurer underlined. What?
Okay, anywhere you see it in any of these, or any resolutions we're doing tonight, if it's in brackets and bold, it gets deleted. And if it's in italics and underline, it gets added.
Oh, so clerk actually, it gets dropped.
Right, so the entire, that entire page of writing is to change one word. Clerk is out, treasurer is in.
Okay, and the same thing, I think was another one like
Right.
that. That's,
And so if you compare it to the one that's on top, number 1,
yeah,
we're
05.
taking the
that's it.
entire section out and adding the entire section in. So
Yeah.
I just say it's deleted, and then everything's in italics and underlined.
Okay, that's cool. Thank you.
The operable ones, the ones that you, like if you said, I only want to read the important stuff, it'd be the first one, because that creates the positions, okay? And then the second one, that gives the position of treasurer the powers and duties. The rest of them are pretty much the same, they just change the word clerk to treasurer, or they add a couple things as far as take treasurer out, that type of thing. But the first two do what we want. It's important to know the overall scheme of what we're doing here. And the mayor outlined the plan, or the purpose. The plan is, we have to change the charter, and that has a 50-day lead time. So on Monday, you will adopt these if you want to do it, and then it's 50 days before they become effective. And there's a whole bunch of things we have to do in that 50 days. You don't have to do, but the staff has to do. So they're really not going to be effective in operation of law until more or less September. I mean, that's where you need to look at it. So I started with those tonight. We're going to do all the ordinance changes to change the provisions of the code next month, introduce them in August, and then they sit for a month and you'll pass them in September. So everything will come effective about the same time. And those are much more tedious, because anywhere you see clerk is going to change. I'm going to make the judgment call that we're only going to change important things now. That it's okay if in one section of the code it says clerk treasurer as a clerk treasurer, and it's not really relevant to the job duties or the core functions. Otherwise, we could have dozens and dozens of changes. And my thought would be we do the core things now, and as we change the code over time, we just change it as we go
that
through.
too.
So that's the plan.
In
Thank you.
in review of this, one of the things that I found rather intriguing was when you looked at the duties of the clerk as they were before, they were all financial duties that should have never been stated that way to begin with. So this will correct a lot of stuff.
You outlined the duties of the clerk and the duties of the treasurer in broad terms. But it's been suggested that we include in the duties of the clerk his responsibility to conduct the elections. I don't think that's spelled out.
Right. Diane had emailed that at least to me,
Yeah.
to you all.
Yeah.
That would be, if you guys want me to make that happen, that would be to 1303, the third one in line. And it would just basically say something that deals with city elections, because he or she are not in charge of it, but they are responsible. And the thought was, we want it clear that that's not another position, that you're not hiring somebody to do the elections, that the clerk is responsible for that as well. So I'll make that change, and that'll be on Monday's docket then for you.
Okay.
And who would be responsible for the election?
The election board, our election board.
Okay.
I mean, they're the body in charge, and the way it works in the charter is it said they can appoint clerks, doesn't mean big clerk, just small letter clerk, to help them.
Yep.
And we would then say one of the clerk's duty is to assist or oversee the administration of the election or something like that. I'll come up with some really great words.
Running machines, controlling them.
Right, the one that actually is the salaried person to do it.
Right.
Do you have any questions on any of those charter resolutions further?
On CR 2013-2, Section 4, I don't know how important it is, but the word further is misspelled.
You go a little slower, it takes us a while to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Okay, what,
Got it.
on section 2, what?
Resolution 2, Section 4, and be it further resolved, the word further is misspelled.
yeah, it's a few letters. Looks like I spelled it.
Further spelled wrong, that's all.
Got it.
Yeah.
Further,
Spell check got you, yeah.
I don't know.
That's the whole way down, section 3, section 4.
Section 4,
Right,
yeah.
Are you seeing this?
yeah.
And be it further resolved.
It's THER, you got TEHR.
you've got your E and your H
Oh,
track.
you know what?
It's under section 5, too.
Mine's right. Yours is wrong.
Isn't it?
Oh,
Section
so that's how
That's
it
why I'm sitting there,
works.
it's like, I'm pretty sure that's how you spell that, but
Spell check worked on his, not ours.
Almost looks like Fuhrer.
Turn on your spell check from now on.
so that is a test. You actually all do read that. That is great. So, yeah, the final versions actually have it spelled correct.
Good.
Final version.
I'm
is
impressed you
spelled-
read all the way into section 5. That is
What else did we find?
How do you spell that?
All right,
They don't have that last one? I didn't do that. The water resolution?
Yes, it's not in there. We know that.
Okay,
we will also have our normal resolution concerning water allocations, number 2013-9. Water allocations through August, to review. Have any questions on those?
No changes, is there? That we know of.
We'll have that by Monday. Okay.
Next, we have the city manager's report.
you can see this list is getting shorter and shorter and shorter.
You're running out of things to do.
No, well, yeah, I've got a lot of notes.
Are you actually doing them? Are you actually doing them, or are you just dropping them off the list?
They're done.
That's what I
If
do.
they're- If they're not there, they're done. Well, the first thing is that we're still stating that we got the fiber. And along with that, the IT position has been filled, and we're starting to work on that right now. As a matter of fact, we're looking at the proposal that was made to us to connect this, and he's reviewing that as this week already.
Good.
And by the way, the gentleman's name is Dan Dennis,
Dan Dennis?
Daniel Dennis. 2 first names, and I'm still having a little difficulty with that one. As well as I'm still having a little difficulty with Bigliotti. I'm getting it.
And he's a taxpayer,
I-
lives across the street, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
he does.
Yes, yes, he does. Out of all, we've got people who have short commute distance. He is now the winner of the shortest commute.
Can't get any
Told me it
better.
takes him about 7 seconds. And then, that's
And on traffic.
depending on traffic.
Not necessarily the safest.
That's, well,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Okay, interim mini storage, I think I'll save Jay. He has some things to talk about that a little bit later. 17, the poles are installed now, and hadn't had a chance to look at Rick's report totally, but I'm sure we're making progress in that arena. Okay? Well, the creamery, that's on for discussion at a later point in time. And the employee manual, we're still stuck in the mud on that one. We have a few more things to finish, but in the past, just have not had the time to dedicate to it. And I'll get with Angela and we'll go at it again soon. Okay, so here's some of the other stuff. The museum is completely vacated. Locks have been changed. Everything that they're 100% out of that building. Okay. With that, I got George Naylor stopped by, and he's basically wanted to ask us, the city, if we would be a sponsor for the golf tournament they're having to raise funds. And I have already got a team together, and what I'd ask the council to do is to sponsor a sponsorship package at the gold level, which includes 4 golfers. I already have 4 of them. I'm the handicap. And, and it also includes, you know, this hole is sponsored by the city of Taneytown. So I would ask that you do that on Monday, give it sponsorship.
Cost?
$500. And they're trying to raise money, and I think this would be a good way to do that. The other thing that we're preparing for them is, no, I better not talk about that. No, I won't. It involves the real estate. We'll talk about that as it gets closer.
Now, just because one foursome has been come together doesn't mean you couldn't bring another foursome together if someone on council would like to
Get another foursome together?
get another foursome together.
Well, then you would just sponsor it at $1,000 and get 2 holes. No problem. I don't care. I mean, if anybody,
No, I make too many divots.
Well, I'm not a golfer either, but I didn't know whether you knew anybody who was.
well, let me know Monday what you want to do, because I've already got, you know, at least one team to go out on that. We got some golfers in the organization, and I haven't played in a long time, and I told them that as soon as I find my clubs and dust them off, and maybe go out between now and then and do some practice swings.
Better hope the termites haven't got in the shafts.
Playing with wooden shafts.
And, you know, they got away from wood a long time ago.
That's how old your clubs are.
I don't have wood, I've got the metal ones, so
Oh,
I'm
good.
okay with that.
Just checking.
Okay. That's in September, I think. Yeah, September the 20th. If we can get a second team in there and want to sponsor a second team, I'll scout around and see if we can do that.
It's for a good cause, so just give that.
Well, it is, and
I have no problem. Okay, the other thing that I've got here is Francis Scott Key High School is going to have a homecoming parade. And that parade is going to be here. Basically what they want to do is they're going, because there's 3 major municipalities that are feeders to the school, that what they'd like to do is start a tradition of having homecoming parades in each of those cities and rotate it. We are the lucky ones to be the first one. And I'm going to extend from them the council, the invitation is that you to participate in the parade with a vehicle. You know, get in a car and drive. So I've already signed the permit for them to do that. Chief has got to take care of that when he gets back. And you know, we got to go through the same things with State Highway. So,
And the date is?
the October the 2nd,
It's a Wednesday,
5 p.m.
Wednesday, right?
Wednesday at 5 p.m. And it sounds like it's going to be a good thing because that's not the actual homecoming football game night, but it's the powder puff game. And as it was explained to me, this is where the guys do the cheerleading and the girls play football. Should be fun to watch that. Yeah. So, only thing left is we got a phone call from Phyllis Jenkins, who lives on Roth Avenue, and she read in the paper about, you know, its parks, the celebration, and she commended the city for the wonderful parks that we have. So I think that the mayor might want to, you know, send her a little thank you note for that praise that we've got on a personal level from her. So, with that, I think I'm done.
Questions for Henry?
I met the new boy, the computer fellow. He's really personable. He's a nice kid. For the rest of you that haven't maybe met him yet, make a point of doing that. He's a good fellow.
Believe me, I have a degree in computer science, and he is already popping over my head.
And it tells you something about your degree.
Well, that's what I told him, it's sort of worn out. You guys don't have to renew it or.
Yeah.
Just a comment on the parade. The reason it's not homecoming is because of closing 140
That's right.
on a busy day. They won't let us do that, so.
You know, I'll be frank, I don't know I'll be honest, I don't know the Wednesday is any different than a Friday.
Especially at 5 o'clock.
You know,
But they said no.
They say no?
Couldn't do it on
You'll have all these campers too.
that's true, I forgot about the campers. yeah.
That's gonna be Fall Fest weekend at Fairmont.
Oh, geez, yeah. Is it
Okay.
that early? It's a week before.
That's October?
I thought it was the first weekend in October.
It's only the second, I think.
what?
Well, maybe I'm wrong.
Color
Anyway,
Fest.
people be going camping anyway.
Yeah, they will
Right.
be.
Any other questions on Henry's report or the departmental reports?
Can I ask one question? I see, Jim, you're here. What's the status on the car wash?
Which, oh,
They've applied for their demolition permit. I don't think it's been issued yet, though.
Really?
Is there anything we can do to move that forward? They were supposed to start tearing that down by the end of the week last month,
Yeah.
according to the minutes.
I think they're waiting for it to be issued by the county at this point.
When did they apply for it? I mean, it's been a month or two or three. Is this now applying?
They applied, I'd say at least 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
May have been a little longer.
Yeah, you had said
I
that
don't
they
know
had.
if the permit has been released. It's checked off in our database that we've signed off and sent it back to the county.
Good.
That's usually our last step in the process, but I
Mm.
think they were having some difficulty getting the owner's signature on an affidavit form that they need for the county.
Good. Thank you, Jim.
Anything else?
Yes. Is there any basis to the rumor that there's an underground propane tank there that's causing the delay? I've heard it numerous times.
I don't know if that's causing the delay. I understand there's a propane tank for heating the car wash water. I'm not sure what's involved in having to remove that. I don't know if that's a separate MDE permit or that may be holding things up. I really don't know.
typically on a tank removal though, permit's not required, at least when I was doing this stuff. It's just, you gotta make arrangements for MDE to be there on site to do inspection. And in this case, it's a gas, they're not usually looking for anything there. It's usually oil that they're looking at. So, I don't think it's MDE holding it up. That's my guess.
I don't think the demolition permit, the demolition permit is just for the above grade structure. They weren't doing any site prep work for sheets. They were just gonna knock down the walls, basically.
Right.
What else? All right, moving on to the legal report, Jay.
Well, you don't have a written report because you have 7 resolutions that I wrote for you, plus the land deal, plus those things. So aside from that, let me give you some updates. I'll pick up with sheets, that's where we left off. Like most of our developers, we try to give them everything they need to make everything work. We gave them their public works agreement January 19th, and have not heard anything from them until this week when they really want it done and how long will it take. Okay, so they put their construction estimates in and they have to be reviewed by CDM. Of course, it's a holiday week, so Brian's not here to do that. All that means is that they're getting to the point where they're ready to finalize the Public Works Agreement, which means get the letter of credit, which means move ahead, pay us the fees they need to do. So when you say, is there something we can do about the car wash? Well, we can certainly express our displeasure with them through this process. However, not signing things does not get us in the driver's seat. Signing things and then threatening to take the surety is what happens. So just don't confuse those when they come in for approval. So Sheets, it looks like they're moving ahead. They want to start construction and they want to do it soon. So that may solve everybody's problem. Antrim Mini Storage. I know you won't believe this, but they went to settlement today at 11 o'clock. And what that means is they actually settled on their new loan so they could post their letter of credit or their bond, their surety, for the improvements. So everything they've said they were going to do to this point, as far as the administrative things, they have now done. So they've executed the Public Works Agreement. I have it here. They've executed the easement for the sewer line. I have that here. The letter of credit is going to be delivered this week. So we're now in a position where we are secure with Antrim Mini Storage, and they are ready to start, except for they haven't finished replacing the wall packs on the lights. I don't know why. So we're going to get all these things executed. We're going to get the bonds in place, and then we're going to tell them, hey, you can't have your permit until you finish doing the wall packs. And they know that. The issue with manhole 303, remember manhole 303 was the one by Lorien, and it was like this huge issue. Well, I think about 50 of us met out there to check this manhole out, and not one of the 50 people had the tool to open the manhole, okay? So we had to call for the 51st person to get the tool to open the manhole. Anyway, what it turns out to be, this big deal about the manhole is about a $1,500 fix. Remember, we were talking $25,000. Stanballs came in and basically said all they have to do is pick it up and rotate it around and whatever they do, and it'll be fixed.
And
So-
Rick's happy, Rick was there
Right,
without the manhole opener, and,
right. So
but he's okay with what the fix is.
they will not have to tear up Road A. Remember, Road A is a private road. They will put it in the grass or whatever. So the whole big thing about the manhole that's been going on for about 2 years is really a non-issue. It's a pretty simple fix. And whoever gets to the manhole first is going to fix it. That's the deal I have with them. So if Lorien gets finished, they fix it. Antrim Mini Storage connects, they fix it. Sheets connects, they fix it. Since it's not a big deal, everybody's agreeable to that. So what has to happen with Antrim Mini Storage from our perspective is on Monday, you'll need, and I'll put it under new business, you'll need to approve the Public Works Agreement and the easement for the sewer line. And that's something we want to do, remember, because when we do that, then we have the bonds in place now to make sure the work is done. So we want to make sure that's done. That doesn't get them any type of permits. The next permit they're going to want is the grading permit, and Jim's already been telling them you can't have it until you do the wall packs. They took the big lights down, I mean, so they're moving ahead with all that. Now they have money at stake, so I would imagine you'll see them moving. So that's Antrim Mini Storage. And that is the development report. There's really no new stuff with any other developments. And so switch gears here to an email I sent you all right after the last meeting dealing with the downtown revitalization ordinance. And I put together the little matrix of the levels of support and participation that people can get in tax credits. Eventually you need to have a discussion, or you don't, but if you want to change it, you need to tell me what you want it to be. So that I'm not doing any more on that until you guys tell me to do something. That's it.
My recommendation on that was split it 50%. If the total cost of the job was 25, then we'll say 12,500 of it would be, if it was a labor or a materials cost of $12,500, then they're eligible for the benefit, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it'd be necessary to go any deeper and try to calculate square footage and all that stuff.
That, me to make arrangements to do that, or it won't be for Monday, but it'll be for
I
next
think
month?
that's good.
I think it's the cleanest way.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So, let me get this straight then, now, since I really have to do it. We have a $10,000 to $25,000 rebate, and that's for any type of kind of facade improvement, any type of improvement from the street. Doesn't matter whether it's, what type of property it is, except residential rental, they don't get it. So we're gonna, that's 10,000 already. We're gonna lower that to 5,000?
Right.
And the rebates still stay the same?
Yeah.
Okay, so 10 just becomes 5. And then the 25 becomes 12.5, and the 35 becomes 12.5. The 35 is a conversion credit from residential to business.
17.5.
Oh, everything's gonna get just half?
Half.
Half of everything. So 10 becomes 5,
Yeah.
okay.
Now, some of them where you split between up to 50,001 or 49,999,
Right.
you know, you gotta,
But this will always be the low end,
yeah.
so, okay. All right. Deal with that next month?
Okay.
Is that good? Okay, all right.
And, you know, concern about what if somebody's gonna replace windows by themselves, you know, that,
Right.
I don't think that'll ever happen.
They have to get a permit, they gotta get a permit. If they don't, they wouldn't need it if they're a contractor, so. Okay, I know what to do.
Questions for Jay? All right, moving into unfinished business. The Creamery building listed, we addressed that a little bit in his report. Any,
Well, as you recall, we put in for a grant. And the response back basically says that we're not going to get, well, we're not going to get it. So what remains is what to do next now. And we're back to where we were before. We got a building without a, no grant to do the demo on a building. And the question is, what do we want, or what do you want to do with that building?
Well, let me ask a couple of questions here. Number one, Jay, do we have all the parcels there united now?
We did not
We did not do
finish,
that.
we did not do that. When you weren't going to sell it anymore,
Right.
remember the deal was somebody wanted to buy it, and we said when we're gonna buy it, we wanted to put all the parcels
Okay.
together, so.
So you
And
left
then
it.
when you decided, not you, but when the group decided not to sell it, we stopped. We have all the pieces.
Okay.
I mean, we have all the work's been done, it just wasn't finalized, because if you weren't gonna sell it, then we didn't wanna handicap the city, because maybe the city wanted to do something with it. So that has not been completed.
and that's something we may want to reconsider, since we don't have a grant to tear the thing down.
Well, my feeling is still what it was a long time ago. You know, we want to spend $1.5 million refurbishing the thing, or we want to spend $80,000 taking it down and then having a piece of land that we can do something with.
Those are the dilemmas of being members of council.
Yes.
And my feeling is, until we have somebody that wants to do something with the land, since we spent money on the fence, we might as well get our money's worth out of the fence and leave it there,
Well,
Well,
I
short term,
agree.
yeah.
okay?
There's no permit, I don't see spending
Changed my
money.
mind 6 times already.
I don't see spending city money to take it down. We don't have any immediate plans for the land. But if there is interest in someone purchasing it, why not consider the offer?
Well, the only thing, like, if you, just to refresh memories, we did that. I mean, there's nothing that says we can't put it back out on the market again, but that has been done.
Well, there was one offer that came to us and then a subsequent offer that we never entertained.
We did have an offer?
We did?
Yeah, we don't want to get into it too much, but there was the one that we met with, and then the one that came in writing.
Right, it came from our attorney here in town,
But through the attorney.
through the attorney here in town.
And we just didn't, we responded saying we weren't
We
selling.
had already taken the vote not to sell the building, so we didn't even bring it up. But it may be something worth exploring.
Well, the way to explore that is you gotta put it on the market. I mean, that's how you do it.
Yeah, because it's never gonna do anything, just sitting there with a fence around it.
Right? I know.
And we've been through this ad nauseum, I mean, for years now, since I've been on council, so that's 6 years.
Best white elephant we ever bought.
The longer it sits, the more it's gonna deteriorate.
Yeah, because you're right.
It's really not in safe condition at this
Not
moment.
even close.
I will not go in that building.
You're afraid of the snakes.
Ticks.
No.
Well, the correspondence we received mentioned something about mitigation. What's the cost to do that? Not that I want to spend the money, but I'm just curious.
Don't have any ideas on that. We did get an estimate on that once before, if I recall, and it was, Linda, do you happen to remember what that was?
What's that?
The cost to remediate the building. PAX, what is it, the PAX study, or one of those that had a cost on there?
Oh, to
Close-
redo it?
Yeah, to rehab the building was close to $1 million, I think.
It's over. It's 1.6, 1.7.
Okay.
That's
You got a better
the
memory than
tomorrow.
I. Yeah,
I've read that 100 times.
I was referring to that report that said that somebody could intercede for us in mitigation and we could have it reviewed by somebody.
I think you're I don't know the answer, but you're referring to the letter we got, the latest letter
Right.
that you got
The
back.
latest
Yeah,
letter.
we could question their decision.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking. What's the cost to that? I don't know.
I don't know, but, you know, that's of course, and I guess we're here, and it's here to get direction. Because we're not gonna get the grant. The state's not gonna put the money to it.
We basically.
Now, what they did say, though, in that letter, was
We
that
basically have three options. We let it sit there with the fence around it and get our money's worth out of the fence, and it continues to deteriorate. We hire a contractor and tail it down, level the site, and we got an empty lot to do something with one day. It's taxpayers' money to do that with no immediate return. We offer the property for sale and see what if anybody has any interest in it, and let them deal with it.
I'd go with the third option.
Same here.
See, I didn't even realize we had an offer before this.
No, I didn't know that either.
there were reasons it didn't come.
And they were very disappointed that we wouldn't entertain that either. So I don't know whether it's still live or not. It could be.
Well, if we get a realtor, put it on the market, and then we'll see what happens. I mean, if that's your direction.
I mean, I think that you have to kind of, you want to sell it, great. The next question is how. And the way we talked about it before was just piecemeal people coming in and offering was not the best, because then you were talking about conditions being attached to it. So it needs to be an arm's length, we're selling this.
Right.
How much is it worth? And you put it on the market and you get a real estate agent.
Last thing we want to have is another pharmacy fiasco,
Yes.
Right.
Those were-
where we make a deal and then the deal doesn't come through, and we don't do a darn thing about it.
Well, when we learned from our experiences, when we draw the sales contract,
It's a different thing. That's different. It's an outright sale. You give us the money, it's yours. Having conditions and things like that to it that's where you get into trouble.
Well, you know, we just spent $15,000 or so to have Tom, what's his name,
Right.
do this thing, and the first thing out of his mouth was, drop it, take it down.
Yeah. Well,
And now we're still arguing about the thing, now we got a fence around it, and then, are we going to keep it as an heirloom?
It's only 2 years.
Yeah, it is. But it,
Well, we'll do what you tell us.
Well,
to do.
yeah, and I'm probably gonna be the only one with my position, but
Yeah.
I think we ought to drop it.
You can make that a motion to see how that works.
And if you're gonna sell it, we need to reactivate the plan about the lots.
Combining,
Because remember,
Yeah.
we need the one piece, not that we're doing well 10 anymore, but we spent a lot of money on well 10, that we need that one piece to access well 10, so it's not a simple just sell it, it's take the piece we need off and sell the rest. So you have to activate that plan, if you're gonna go the other way too.
I've already got some money invested in that.
Right.
Or
If the city some years down the road had to buy a piece of property of that size, what do you think you would pay? Just off the top of your head.
well, yeah,
Uh,
that's a
If
prime
you sell
location.
it- If you sell it, it's gone. If you have to go out and buy a piece of property like that, it probably costs you the $80,000 or more that you're talking about.
Oh.
I don't think
More
you'd
than
ever
that.
find,
Yeah.
you'd never find a piece of property like that.
I think it's more.
Not in the town.
That's 4 buildable lots as it sits right now.
Pardon?
It's 4 buildable lots. If you tore the building down, you could put 4
Well,
townhouses.
eventually the city will need more land.
And that'd be expensive to buy.
I don't know, I mean, you know.
Well, I'm gonna resurface something that I had talked about, okay? Downstream, what I see, is we tear that down, okay? That's step one. Then, step two is we build a new city hall and offices down there. Okay? Step three, we sell these 2 buildings that we have here. That will offset a
The
good
cost.
portion of the cost of doing that. This property here is more prime than that one. This property here has these 2 buildings and a parking lot. This would make an excellent restaurant. And that across the street could be office building for somebody to buy. That is what I would look at as a long-range plan that I would say, what to do. But none of that, and in all honesty, that's just not gonna happen overnight.
No, none of it's
I
gonna
mean,
happen
you
overnight.
know, selling it could happen quickly. But then, you know, as somebody says, and I watched one tell me, when it's gone, it's gone. And that's gone, and we'd like to have it back, and we can't get it.
But the thing about it is, as long as that monstrosity is sitting there on that property, you're not gonna do anything with it.
If we, well, using what, my plan, I can see of no value of keeping that building, and I agree with you. That would cost, it would not serve the purpose that we need. It's not, you know, we would not, it would cost more to renovate it than it would to tear it down and build new.
Build a new,
Build new.
modern building.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You know, that's the facts right there. So, if that plan is acceptable, then the first stage of that plan would be to get the money to raise that.
I just have a hard time moving the city hall out of the city.
This is not moving.
But it's not out of the city.
Yes, it is.
It's, if anything, it congeals the town property. We're right there, we would have.
Government center.
A government center, a lease.
But if anybody goes to that building, they will go in the building, come out, get in their car and leave. The tendency here, or it could be here, that you can come in the building, you've already put your $50 in the meter, you got 55 minutes left. Maybe you'll go across the street, maybe you'll go down there, maybe you'll go see Marvin and get a
But
haircut.
if we put
You're
something.
exactly right.
But if we put something viable in here that draws people, that this building is not drawing, it would help the others.
I just don't see a downtown restaurant, okay?
I,
We're just not big enough to support it.
well,
It's just not gonna happen. We've been told that many times.
Well, they didn't think they couldn't put man on the moon either, but.
Yeah.
Well, but we don't have 20
That's
years.
the kind of project
Well-
you're talking about, though.
What I,
It's of that magnitude.
but I, you know, before Angelo, Councilman, I disagree with you on that. We do not generate the traffic that comes here and goes anywhere else. They don't even put money in the meter. You couldn't get a policeman here fast enough to give him a ticket.
In and out and gone.
And I can tell you, what we can do if you really want to do something, we could do a bit of a study on that. We already have the data. They got the cameras downstairs, they've been recording for over a year. You can watch and see where they go. In, out.
Yeah, pay the water bill and out they go.
In a car, I mean, some of them, they do the hot seat, not even the hot seat, they have a driver. It's like a getaway car. They pull up because, see, that's in case a policeman comes up. You know, they're in, they're out. I mean, you know, what, I got somebody here can kind of talk to that a little bit. There you go. It's true. There's somebody who's there and sees it every day.
All right, well, let's think about that over the
Yeah,
weekend.
Yeah, I've changed my mind on this creamery building so many damn times.
Well, that's okay. The mayor keeps going for a second, third, fifth vote on things, so.
Well, I mean,
They better have it
I'm
pulled
the
over.
only
I
one
can
that
see
likes
both
to
points. But, you know, my point is,
Mayor likes this because he gets another opportunity to vote on it.
what I would like to do, if we had the creamery and the center he's talking about here,
Yeah.
and get rid of the pharmacy, open that up.
But we don't own it.
yeah.
Well, if we're gonna buy something, we
All
can,
that we have to
buy
do
that.
is do something
I've
that
already
meets
made the offer and
standards,
I've got the
and
letter
we
down.
can't own it.
I've
but
made that offer a year ago and not even got a response.
I would like to see us to be able to open up from here to what would end up being the municipal building down there with parking lots in the back,
Well,
and we'd have a nice little park
I
here.
hear you, but we already know that property, the Baumgartner property, is not gonna sell. It's
Well, I'm not
for
talking
sale.
about, that's why I'm not talking about that when I'm talking about the pharmacy.
But you've got a point there on that
Open up the
side.
back.
Yeah, open it up.
If
Yeah.
we could open that whole area up, then we'd be in pretty good shape, and we might even be able to put another set of stores on the back side of that. Or, senior living or something.
All we have to do is
talked
stick
about
with the
for quite a
plan that was
while.
done 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
Done what now?
Stick with the plan that we did 10, 12 years ago about developing that area back there. It's a perfect solution for for what we need to do to the town. The only thing you need to do is get investors. That's the only thing you need to do.
Yeah, we did go
Well,
back to the people.
10, 12 years, the only thing I can tell you is that plan ain't working.
Well, the people who proposed
It's
that
all,
said we're no
it's all
longer.
designed and planned out. All we gotta do is do it. It's there for somebody. It's a ready-made project.
Well, you all gotta make the tough decisions.
Yeah,
You pay
yeah.
the big bucks.
Even as you look at the building, the vacant lots or the vacant land on the left, at one time, I understand, was proposed as, multi-use zone type stuff?
What you're talking about by the creamery?
Yeah. That whole back area back there, and we contacted those people when we were doing our creamery stuff, and they no longer have an interest. They were told once to hit the road, so they did.
All right.
But, you could redevelop that whole area if you look at it.
So,
What other unfinished business we have? Moving to new business.
you're holding off Monday to do
We'll
anything?
talk about it
Well,
more Monday.
More,
Maybe somebody will have a
we're due to
motion.
go.
With all the stuff we got going on right now, I don't see this really at the top of the priority list,
It's there,
in my opinion.
okay.
And he wants to
I
keep the
don't-
fence.
I was, if you recall, you asked me to put this on here. Your wish has been granted.
We can still have this argument in October and November. It'll still be the same argument.
I was gonna say, we've already had it for 2 years, what's it for 2 years?
So it doesn't make any difference whether we talk about it Monday or October.
We have it long enough, it'll fall down by itself.
But I've been
Well,
working,
no, I don't think that'll really happen, but I think the roof.
The way this is happening, I wouldn't be
It'll
surprised.
crumble.
but I've been working on this almost since the day it started on the council,
6 years now, right?
and we're nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, you just can't get any place, no matter what you do. There's advantages and disadvantages, and
Well, part of the problem about trying to put it on the market to sell it was that nothing would be done with it once it was purchased, correct? It would still continue to sit there and right?
no, then it'd be theirs. They can remodel it, they can redo it, revitalize
Somebody
it.
pays
tear
taxes
it
to
down.
us.
Well, no, but I mean, from what I could understand, part of the concern was that nobody, once it was purchased, it would just kind of sit there, kind of like the pharmacy, and nothing would be done with it because it would be under private ownership, correct?
So I can't see somebody purchasing it, not doing
Not
it.
doing it, yeah. What Henry was referring to there is that we hope that wouldn't happen as it did with the pharmacy.
Yeah,
That-
stop by, I'll give you the pharmacy history someday.
Yeah.
The
yeah,
pharmacy
that's-
was basically given to someone.
Okay. Well, the reason why I'm wondering about that is because perhaps, I mean, I know you guys are a little hesitant about putting something into the contract, but what if we could offer somebody like an incentive to rehabilitate it faster? If they were to purchase it and give them some kind of like a tax credit or something?
We tried
We
that.
got that in
Would work.
place.
That's what we did,
Well,
and we got no
That gets
takers.
us into the problem that you're stepping into that minefield across the street.
We got that in place.
Yeah, we had a big study, went out on the street, and got no response whatsoever.
All right, let's move into new business. Monthly financial report. Anybody have any questions on the monthly financial report? Hearing none, anybody have any questions on the accounts payable? Nothing? Is there any other new business? Very well, let's move into council reports. Angelo, do you want to kick that off this time?
There's nothing.
I don't know if you call.
Not really anything. It was nice. I have gone back to planning and zoning, and I've got some catching up there to do. But Jim, I thank you the other night for all that we did. And Jim, thank you too. It's nice to be back there.
And while you're on that, I want to interject that Jim has accepted his appointment.
That Jim.
Yeah, that Jim.
Hey, Carl?
That's it.
I'd just like to mention that the farmer's market is very appreciative of the electric down there, and it was done very quickly. And it looks like Dollar General is coming along pretty
Yeah,
good
they really
too.
are.
Moving right
Yeah,
along.
interestingly, what they're doing is they're taking the old Pizza Hut route.
Is that right?
Well, if you notice, there's more earth than there used to be there.
Yeah.
And,
They had to raise that up.
well, if the way to get that is if you want to put a sign that we have our height restriction from the ground, just move the ground up. Right? So if the height restriction is 25 feet and you can add 10 to it,
That's it.
then you can see, you can have more sight distance down the road.
Good point.
And that's exactly what Pizza Hut did years ago.
That's neat.
We were always wondering why, but then we found out why.
That's it.
Joe?
I've got two quick things. I had spoken briefly to Angela earlier about one of them, but considering that 194 and 140 are under the purview or under the auspice of State Highway, I was approached by a couple of different citizens about that right turn lane as you're heading past Bentley's to make that right onto, I think that's Grand Drive. And there was one woman who told me that she was near there the other day, and somebody speaking on their cell phone tried to use that as a turning lane and almost hit someone. And I told her that I would, let everybody know that there have been some issues or some concerns about that with that particular turn. And then I heard from a couple of other people around town about some of the properties on foreclosed or abandoned homes that are overgrown, and they just want to know if there's a way that the schedule of cutting or maintaining the properties can be sped up.
What's your policy on that, Jim? How do you cite those people?
We send out a notice. We shortened the time frame a couple years ago from 10 days to 7 days before we can go in and make the violation. And it was needed. That's since I was out last week when reports were getting into packets.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Second,
okay.
give
We
you my-
allowed him to go on vacation.
I can't believe that. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
So essentially what we do, we send a violation notice out. I give them a 5-day grace period. We do fine $50 if they mow the property within 5 days of the date of the notice. We waive the additional fines. If they don't do it within 5 days, they get a $100 a day fine. As you can see, this month we levied $19,000 in fines. Last month we levied $20,000 in fines. We've talked before about a mechanism to collect those fines rather than waiting for the property eventually to settle. But that's been our policy, and after 7 days, we call the mower and they come in there when they can and knock them down. So we, some of the foreclosed properties, what I see frequently is in April, May, the mortgage companies or the maintenance companies are not on top of them like they should be. So usually in May, we mow a lot more, and I contact the maintenance companies, and eventually they get them on schedule. But May and June, I call maintenance companies if there's any posting there, and a lot of them will say, well, yeah, it's not on the schedule yet this year, we don't know why. And it's like, well, you got 10 days or 7 days, then we're gonna mow it if you don't. And more often than not, they don't do it in 7 days, so, we levy the fines and we mow. So, but then we wait until it gets 8 inches or more again, and then kind of repeat the process.
Yeah, I was going to say the property at the corner of Grand Drive and Courier Court, I think that was a lot longer than 7 days before that was mowed.
May have been. So, and that one I've got to get out again, and I got photos of it yesterday. I didn't get a chance to get the violation notice out today, so, same thing. And I called the maintenance company that's posted to try to get them to get out there and mow it. And we've already abated it once this season, but we're gonna have to go out and mow it again. So,
I see this month on accounts payable, we got 13 that you
did, right?
did mow, yeah. So that's more than,
yeah, unfortunately, it's sort of, we end up, sitting and waiting until eventually the properties are going to settle down. And that's the trigger for us to collect. So we are getting the fines at some point, but some of them do sit for years before that happens. So, that's what we've been doing for those vacant properties.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure that as we travel around town and notice these things, passing on to Jim would be appreciated. I think he could just help him have more sets of eyes in the community.
Please do, yes. I don't get in all the little courts and cul-de-sacs that often. There are some areas that I just don't get to very often. And, especially if sometimes neighbors will mow a front lawn to try to keep
Their
their
place.
street looking nice, and it's not obvious then, but the backyard may be 4 feet tall before we hear about it. So if you do hear of properties like that, please, feel free to pass them on to Henry or to me if you, get complaints about stuff like that, or you notice in your jaunts about town.
Thank you very much.
Jim, I will say one thing. Everyone's quick to complain when that happens. I have had a number of people, especially this year, for some reason, that have commented to me that they think that you've done a good job on that this year because their scofflaw neighbors it's been mowed. And they appreciate that. So it's not all for naught. Excuse me, Jim, go ahead.
Anything else, Joe?
Nope, that's it.
Just a few comments. For me, of course, I was able to attend the MML conference last week. It was a very good conference, very filled with good information. A couple of highlights that I was able to attend a session on the rain tax, and they talked about that and the need to have community involvement in supporting stormwater management, and two poster children for the stormwater management project were Berlin and Salisbury, and had photos of people standing waist deep in stormwater in Berlin, and I guess you can get the people involved in your community if that happens, but since we don't have that issue, it's a little bit tougher. And Jim and I attended a meeting with Commissioners Howard and Shoemaker today in Westminster to discuss the very thing, the same thing. The concern is that, well, the county is not imposing a rain tax, and their position was that we have the projects funded we need, don't need to add another tax. Well, that doesn't alleviate us from our responsibility to come up with some kind of plan. So we were concerned about that. So the mayors kind of got together with and staff got together with the two commissioners and basically got a commission or a commitment out of them that I think that they were going to kind of include us in that funding notion. The discussion was ongoing, and Jim, you add to this as I speak, but they were sympathetic to the fact that they realized that we couldn't impose a rain tax without them imposing a rain tax, and that if they could incorporate our projects into their projects and fund those too, then maybe that would be the way to go. So that's something that's continuing to be talked about. Jim, you want to add anything to that?
I think you summed it up pretty well. I mean, there were, no specific dollars promised or anything like that, but the idea that their Bureau of Resource Management staff would still be, even though they're not imposing the stormwater tax, that their staff would still be available for technical help and to develop projects, and that they would investigate or look into cost sharing with the municipalities to try to help fund some of these capital projects that we're going to have to do. So it was, I think, a positive meeting. Certainly there's a lot to be talked about to try to work this kind of stuff out, but it's a good first step.
Yeah, it was a good meeting. Another session I attended at MML that was of particular interest to me had to do with websites and the value of websites for municipalities and other government agencies. And it's been a while since we've really done anything with our website. I think it's time to do that again. The folks that made the presentation, I got some information how to contact them when the IT person has a little bit of breathing room. It'll probably be a good thing for him to visit with those people and get some ideas on how we can improve our websites. But basically, what should be on the website was not, and what shouldn't be on the website is. So we're 100% wrong. So we got a long way to go to improve our website.
Did they have any handouts for that one?
Yeah.
Did you get
And
them?
in fact, the whole presentation will be on the MML website probably by the middle of the month.
Oh, okay.
So it'd be a good thing for him just to take
Do they
attend
do
the
all the
session.
presentations? They're going to be
All the
putting-
presentations will be.
Well, there is a
And
cost savings.
like-
We don't have to send anybody anymore.
What kind of format, in like a PDF or Excel
I think
spreadsheet
it was a PowerPoint presentation.
or a PowerPoint? Oh, okay, that's good. I think that's a good idea. That way everybody can get to see it.
Yeah.
So that's another thing, spend some time that they promised that they were going to do that the sessions would be available on their website. So
Right.
if you're something you're particularly interested in looking at, look at it. But again, I heartily recommend that stormwater management program, and then this website program, my two favorites, I guess. And of course, we had a wine and jazz festival a couple weeks ago. It was very well attended, I think. I think we've got a lot to learn about putting the wine and jazz festival on, and I'm anxious to see what Nancy and her group come up with as far as the bigger and better version next year. So it was
Well,
good.
you know, in my opinion, that was a bigger and better, over the first year we had it. So
Well, I know.
It was really great to have it in that venue there.
There's a lot of opportunities to improve.
Yeah.
though. But it was still good.
It was very good.
Yeah. Anybody have anything from the community? Marvin?
Talking again about the beautification of downtown Taneytown. I'd like to challenge y'all to, between Middle Street and George Street, for those people who thought the bricks was an asset to beautification, to take a walk from Middle Street to George Street and see the weeds growing up in the bricks, as well as around the trees. I don't know whether the weeds are flowering itself. And then go back to the graffiti again that's still on the downtown sidewalks. It's,
Yeah, that's a real issue, the graffiti on the downtown sidewalks.
And listen, I thank you for at least bringing that up, because I've noticed that myself. And, you know, last year what we did was, you know, I dispatched the city crew to take care of all that. And I guess what we are facing is, in my opinion, it's not gonna happen unless we do it. And so, what I'm, you know, within the next, you know, I'm gonna ask Rick and his crew to go out, spray the weeds, kill them, come back, weed whack them.
We're talking about hitting the bricks, yeah.
Yep.
I said that would happen.
I'm sorry?
I said that would happen when we put those bricks in there, no one wanted to listen. Oh,
Okay.
they'll take care of them.
Well, homeowners and property owners, for the better part, are not doing that, and there's a lot of them that probably don't even live there. They're rentals. So the only way, if you want to keep, in my opinion, keep that whole area in top shape, is that we will have to take it.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it.
And so on an annual basis or a regular basis, that's what we're gonna have to do. We go out, spray it, and weed whack it. Otherwise, he's not gonna.
Marvin, I spoke to Rick the other day about the marks on the sidewalk. He is going to, I understand, he's going to send a crew to pressure wash that, yeah. I don't think it's happened yet, and of course, we've got the holiday this week, so it won't, but be on the lookout, there'll be something there.
Yes, sir.
Can the council consider creating a program utilizing the youth in need of service hours to help maintain some of those things around town?
Well, you know, that may be a solution. In fact, former Flickinger asked if that would be
Used to do
a
that, yeah.
viable option to do, and I don't see why we couldn't do that. It would mean something we have to do on a perpetual basis, but so what? If we can use community service hours to do it, and we have somebody to supervise it, why not do it that way? Possibility.
Clean up the parks and that as well.
Yeah,
Well-
it could be something we could
We
do.
would not be able to use the pesticides to kill it. Need a license.
Well, I mean, they don't need pesticides. They need a pair of work gloves and a strong back.
Is that certain pesticides or
You
restriction on the
know,
ingredients of the pesticides
there-
that they use?
any pesticide.
Actually, it's a herbicide, isn't it?
Yep. That's right. Son of a gun. I got them confused. Now you know why my lawn is so spotty.
I was gonna say, you have an extra jug up there they could start with.
Yeah, I got a jug to do it. You're proposing somebody to weed all that by hand.
Students need hours. It takes
Not me.
hours to do it.
I'm talking to you, Mayor.
What's that?
I said, I'm talking to you, Mayor.
What did you say?
I said, you're proposing that they do it by hand as opposed to doing like a weed whacker or something like that?
We have volunteers that's willing to do that.
To pull the weeds. Okay, I can get it done a lot quicker with a weed whacker.
The only issue would be that, you know, that we would be working on the curb. I mean, they'd probably have to have orange vests or something.
I also want to take a look at the liability of that before we go out and do that.
Yeah.
There's, you know, just want to make.
I don't know what the legal ramifications are, or whether it could be done or not, but it seems to me it would be a logical thing to do. We're always having people looking for community service hour. That would be an excellent community service project. No more, it would be any different than picking up trash on the street than weeding those areas around the street trees.
Okay, until we get that, I'd still propose we do what we do, at least the first time, because we're not gonna find somebody within the next couple of days to do that. Yeah.
Well, it has to be a selective process. It just can't be spray everything with weed killer.
It's
There's a
only
lot
the
of stuff
weeds.
there. Because there's stuff there that you don't want to kill.
Oh, well, then again, you're talking to me who's killed half his lawn, but, you know. I do kind of get the gist of that. I'm learning what plants are. I know what grass is now and what you shouldn't put on the grass.
Well, it's a solution that you might want to look into. If we have community service people who want to do it, and we have somebody to coordinate that effort, then why not take advantage of it?
I agree. Now, the problem I have with it, though, is that's gonna take me time to put that in place. You want an immediate solution, or do you want something to happen later and let the weeds be there? Or until the next crop of weeds pop up?
Well, I mean, once it gets up and going, you just
All right.
gotta implement it, and it does
I'll tell you
handle
what.
itself after
You
that.
gonna let me make the solution?
All right.
Okay, good, thanks. I'll make the immediate solution, but I will also look into getting weed pickers.
All right. Anybody have anything else?
One, I did notice in Jim's report that we've got 9 new residents going up on the year.
We need it.
Heck of a lot beats 0 and 1.
Yeah.
Yes, Jim.
It's almost $100,000. Good.
I just wanted to tag along to the conversation on the tree pits and such, that there are a handful of residents that go out there and they clip the little, sucker branches off the bottom of the trees and weed the tree pits in front of their houses. It's not a total loss. Unfortunately, for every one household that does that, there may be
And they don't do it the
that
same.
don't. But there are some of us that do go out there and weed the tree pits and even beyond the immediate property. So there's a store owner on this block that takes care of almost the whole block. So there are folks out there trying to
Yeah.
help us.
And it's probably more
It's
than
not
you
all-
realize, too. The ones that we see are the ones that aren't being done. But there's a considerable amount of people that do maintain those
I was gonna
trees.
say, I think that would be pretty obvious as you ride by, the ones that do and ones don't.
You only pay attention to the bad looking ones.
Always
Look
pop up
good, you
at
don't
you.
even notice.
All right, anything else? Can I get a motion to adjourn if there's nothing else?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, everyone. Have a great Independence Day.